All right, we'll call to order the Planning
Boxes
Commission
around
for Roy City. Today is October 8th of 2024, and we will begin by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Holbert.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any conflicts that they need to declare tonight?
No.
Right, seeing none, we will move on to agenda item number 2, which is approval of the September 24th, 2024 work session minutes. Any discussion or motion?
To approve.
I'll second.
Motion approved in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. So we will move on to agenda item number 3, which is continued discussion. This is a continuation of our public hearing from 6/11 and the work sessions that we've had. And it's a request to amend Title 10, Chapter 11, Supplementary Development Standards, Title 10, Supplementary Regulations, allowing for the keeping of chickens, hens, and rabbits in a single-family residential zones. So Steve, we'll turn it over to you for staff presentation.
As mentioned, this is a continuation of an item from June 11th. We opened and closed a public hearing for that and took comments already. But if you want to open it, get comments again, it's up to you, Chair. This is just to change the allowance of chickens. The first is to allow it for on lots smaller than 8,000 square feet. So as per our last discussion in September, sorry, I had to think. It's like it's already October. Anyway, down to 6,000 square feet, and according to a number listed on the following chart. So as you remember, anything less than 8,000 square feet down to 6 was 3. Leaving 6 chickens allowed on between 8,000 and 15, which is the current code, and then anything larger than 15, you kind of get extra ones. Up to maximum of 25. That number again comes from the RE20 zone. We didn't want to copy what they had because that is a unique zone in of itself because it allows for larger animals as well. Taking half of that number and then just making that the max here. The other change that wasn't part of applications was the coop, or maybe not the coop, the run. Before we had a maximum of 150 square feet. So we'll put a max size of 200 square feet. The reason why not larger is at 201, we require a building permit, and I don't think a coop or a run needs to have a building permit. So to stay out of the building code, we'll just limit it at 200. So those were the items that we discussed and approved from, or recommended from last time. So staff would recommend that you forward on to council approval. Any questions?
I think I've asked all of mine during the the work sessions and stuff that we've had, but any discussion from the Planning Commission?
I did send you and forward you an email that I received on Monday from the applicant to reduce the numbers. So you kind of got his ideas and thoughts on what he would like. So you can take that into account, or I believe he's here that you can talk with him as well.
Yeah, any thoughts on reopening the public hearing?
I wouldn't reopen it.
You gotta reopen it.
Just allow the applicant to come to talk
Okay.
because they are the public.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. So let's go ahead. If you do, what would you like to speak to us? Okay, go ahead and come on up and state your name and address, and then we'll give you 3 minutes just to keep things moving along. But I think we got your email as well, so thank you.
Daniel Gelder, address 5566 South, 4175 West in Roy. I believe most of you received the email, may have perused the email response. This is my response to Steve's forwarding to me the agenda tonight. and I expressed to Steve in email my regret of having not attended the work sessions and being at least present in those. When I saw the current proposal, I expressed my concerns. Steve, in turn, added some clarification. I had some numbers that were a little above what was recommended by the committee, and that's a moot point at this time. My concern at this point is that the number 3 allowed in the current proposal is not adequate. My wife and I, my family, neighbors that we have spoken to, we all feel that the expense, the effort, the cost associated with preparing to raise chickens, housing the chickens on a property, and then being allowed only 3 would not return a return of that investment. It would not result in a return investment. Keeping in mind that most chickens do not lay every day. So if you have 3, at most you're likely to have 1 or 2 eggs every day. And for a family that relies on these eggs for food supplementation, that's just not adequate. And I don't want to get emotional, but when I saw the original numbers, I felt like I had been slapped in the face. My efforts had gone unheard or unrecognized. So my proposal is that the city consider keeping the minimum number at 6, which has seemed to be the standard number this whole time. So all parcels, 6,000 to 15,000 square feet, you just call it at a 6, and allow 6 chickens on all those parcels. So I'll close with that. Those are my comments, my feelings with all this. Of course, we will abide by the committee's final motion. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add?
Yes.
If you, let's see, only one of you might have been on the original planning commission when we talked about chickens. And so I don't know if Taurus remembers, but
I'm not that old.
I do believe that
ID.
6 was recommended for all of it. So I personally don't, I'm not married to any of these numbers. So if you feel like 6 would be appropriate to go down to 6,000 square feet and just go 6 to 15, I think that would help them. And I'm not opposed to making that change.
Steve, I know during one of the work sessions you mentioned how many lots actually fit into this category, and I think the 6 to 7 was pretty few. Wasn't that correct?
It's the large,
Large ones,
30
the
plus
small.
is the few.
There's quite a few that'll fit into that.
R16, I think there's at least 5 or 6 areas within the city that have it, that have, 50 to 100 homes in it. So it does affect. The original code is as long as you have 8,000 square feet, it didn't matter what zone you were in. They just find themselves at a 6,500 square foot property, so kind of excluded them.
Yeah, and I know one thing just to keep in mind here too is we are right now to have chickens in that zone is a non-conforming. You're out of compliance with the code
Not in the zone.
in the 6 to 7,000.
Yeah, the zone allows it, it's just you have to have 8,000 square
Right.
feet.
Right.
So anything
So we
less-
are like even if we either proposal to move it to 6 or to stay at 3, like we're extending that down to a smaller lot size than was allowed before as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think after all the research, this is pretty in line with all the surrounding cities too, for the most part.
The lower part is kind of vague. I mean, you could go to Bountiful, and I think you can have more on a smaller lot. Granted, they're not our neighbors, but again, I think the original one in 2016 was to allow 6 on 6,000 square feet.
In the city I work in, it's between 5 and 10, 6. So they restricted just 6 of and you can't be on anything less than 5,000 square feet to have that many.
So then.
So go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
Oh, and obviously then dealing with complaints about it. Just more about noise and about spacing and stuff, and never anything about how many they have or anything else. My research has always been, egg production is all predicated on the kind of bird and is it laying and how does it lay, and sometimes it takes 6 months for them to lay, and there's just so many factors on that. It's difficult to say, yeah, you can have 10, thinking only 6 are going to lay, and it's just if you're gonna be serious about having laying hens, you're gonna go buy, the breed that lays eggs. And then making sure that we are talking about chickens for eggs and not chickens for meat, because that's a totally different topic. So we don't want to get confused about that. And then they're just still noisy. When they lay egg, they're not happy, and they let out a noise. So as we look at the amount and the possibility of 6 hens laying eggs every day, and there's going to be some noise. And in those smaller lots, is it we feel like it helps with the continuity of the community or not? So, sorry, Chris, cut you off.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, so I guess kind of what the applicant was saying, he just wants change the 6 to 7 to 6. So then it would be 6 to 15 for 6, right?
Yeah, so the first grouping was 6,000 square feet to 15,000 square feet.
And then everything else would be the same.
Would be the same.
I have a question.
Can't hear you.
Differentiated.
Talk in your microphone a little bit more.
We haven't talked about the differentiating between meat and laying eggs, have we?
No, because from what we've discussed,
Because this is chicken and rabbits, and some people were
I
talking
know,
about rabbits for
but-
harvesting the
But
meat.
when they're
yeah.
talking about chicken and hens or
But-
chicken and rabbits,
I missed last week.
yeah, we've never made
Or-
a distinction
okay,
on
so-
chickens, whether they're,
Meat, eggs, they're all just chickens
yep.
for us.
so if you're going to have some for meat and some for eggs, you still can only have 6. So,
That's all I had.
Yeah, so I was gone as well, and I've read through a little bit. I missed maybe why we started at 3, the specific reason, or was that just kind of the number that?
Just threw out a number.
Oh, okay.
Just that it was less than 6 because we were on smaller lots. I mean, it could have been
And some of the
4.
cities don't allow it at all in
Yeah.
lots, and then others allow a few more. And just kind of my thought there, and I didn't find the numbers unreasonable. Is just where we're extending it down to a much smaller lot than before. Because there are, I know when this went through Roy and Ogden, I was working for Weber County and saw a lot of the contention there, and just trying to find something that's reasonable so that I think extending it is wise, but also if it goes too far, then I don't know that it gets through the next layer as well.
So are you saying that it's reasonable to have them, the bottom number 6? I guess I don't understand what you just said.
That's the question is,
That's the question. I mean, we
I
threw
thought you were
3
giving us
because
your
they're
opinion.
smaller lots and things like that. And so, on the smaller lot, I don't know, there probably isn't a huge difference between 3 and 6, but just kind of the initial thought was we're extending that to smaller lots than originally had it. In those smaller lots, they are closer to neighbors and
Yeah.
things like that.
I'm not opposed to, raising the number to 6. The question really is about what potential negative impacts that has on the community around it. I mean, that's really where the threshold is, right?
right.
And that's what we're discussing. Is there an adverse impact on the community from going from 3 to 6?
Correct.
If there's not, I'm not opposed to making the change.
Well, seeing that, chickens now are allowed in every zone
Yeah.
other than, small lots. I mean, you'll get a few that complain, but generally it's because there's a rooster, something that's
And that's
crowing.
not allowed.
Yeah, roosters aren't allowed and never have been.
No.
But I haven't heard people complaining that, my neighbor's got chickens because I can hear them clucking or whatever.
And that's where you're gonna find probably where most of your complaints come from is
The noise.
the vicinity and how close your neighbors are to you and that's gonna increase that potential.
Just be the, the devil's advocate, my dogs probably bark more than those chickens.
And louder.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there are other,
Amen.
there are other issues that come from having chickens, but it's more or less about, what they attract.
Okay.
But that's with almost any animal we have on a property. So it's one of those,
That's worth considering. I mean, right, while we're talking about
if
it.
you have 3 or you have 6, you're still gonna attract the same kind of problem. So
Yeah,
it's
so
either
I'm-
you don't let them in the smaller ones, or you let them and deal with the rats and whatever else is attracted to what happens when you raise chickens.
Yeah, that's also assuming, I guess, all the chicken owners aren't good stewards either, right?
Well, chickens are mean. They'll kill a mouse.
You know?
They're like little dinosaurs.
And they're, and
I'm right, right?
if you've ever raised chickens, it's not a neat process. It's a messy process, cleaning up, bedding, all that stuff. It's not a fun
Well, that
process.
also goes
but-
back to the dog thing, right? Not everybody's a responsible dog owner.
I don't clean up after my dogs, it stinks.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So maybe the way we look at this is, we want to be friendly to the public, and we say we go to 6. And we see if that works. If it does, if it doesn't, we reconsider.
Yeah, it can be readdressed, if all of a sudden we're getting more complaints, but I don't think by going down to 6,000 square feet and allowing 6 is gonna change the number of complaints coming from noise.
I don't think so either.
Again, most of the noise complaints there's a rooster.
What if we compromise? What if we did 4? Like 4.5,
I
right?
was gonna say 4.5.
There's no rounding either.
when you
So
Yeah,
all
so-
we,
and I don't see this being chicken coops in everybody's backyard and
No.
in those areas there. You really have to want to have chickens to raise chickens.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to deal with the mess, you give up really, really quick.
It's a self-resolving issue.
It is. Everybody's curious. Oh, that'd be great, farm fresh eggs. Oh my heck, this is a pain. The feed, everything. It's a commitment. Honestly, it's a commitment. So
Yeah, so I personally think that it would be fine to start at 6, but then I think we need to discuss at what increments we would, because I don't think we want to go too high either.
Well, that's what we
considering-
did in the work session. So
Yeah,
So
well, that's what I'm saying,
that's
is
not what-
that if we change that to 6, though, that you
We
have
just leave
to-
the rest where
Yeah,
You
they're
just
just
at.
leave the rest.
Yeah, so it
exactly.
just,
because it increases by 6.
So it'd be 6
You
to
would
15.
just combine the two
Yeah.
parcel
Yeah.
sizes.
so that
into
per size
six.
would go from
Okay.
6,000 to
Yeah, so you
15.
just have these together.
15,000.
Okay.
And all we're doing is recommending, and this council has to decide for sure, right?
nice.
Yes.
Steve.
That's what I thought.
So we're making a motion, a recommendation is what we're doing. A
And they help with
recommendation
the
to
cats.
council.
They help with the
Correct.
chickens too.
Okay.
Stray cats.
Well, I say
Putting up
I'm
gang
okay with it.
symbols now. I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know what Steve's trying to
I
tell us with
don't know what he
that,
did
so.
That he's okay with it.
Well, I figured that's what you guys, route you were going, so I would just show it, this is how we change it.
Yeah, I think that
So
looks
instead of 8, it's down to 6, and you get 6, and then we don't worry about the 6 to $799.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So we recommend to the council pending any further complaints from. the
Well, I
public?
would just make the recommendation
Just
to
make a-
approve, and
yep.
then council will make their, their discussion and approve it, and if there's lots of complaints, we'll hear from them, and we'll talk about it again.
But again,
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine.
Can I just clarify, so when we say 6, that's the total number allowed, not 6 to 12?
Correct.
yeah.
Right.
No.
Okay.
yeah.
So
If
you
you
could
have
have 3
15
chickens, 3 rabbits.
You'll have
Or
to have
6 rabbits,
15,001
or-
square feet to have 12.
No, 6.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, 12.
yeah. 12,000,
Oh, yeah.
15,001 square
Oh,
feet.
I see what you did.
Yeah. Pretty crafty.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, we're ready for a motion or
So if that is,
further
just on the
discussion, so-
motion, make it with the changes that we made, or you can state, down to 6,000 with 6 chickens.
I make a motion that we recommend to council revising the presented or proposed allowance for chickens as shown on the table.
Second.
Was that adequate on the
Yep.
motion, Steve? Okay.
It just basically says you're approving this, right?
I just wanted to make sure we had the motion clear, so.
Forwarding a recommendation.
Motion and a second, and this is a roll call.
Yes. Councilmember Collins,
Aye.
Commissioner, whoa, Cowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Bills,
Aye.
Might have been a
Commissioner
revelation.
Tanner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brand,
Aye.
Commissioner Felt,
Aye.
Commissioner Holbert.
Aye.
Okay. I don't think the council's not having a meeting next week, so it won't be till November. So, but I'll let you know. Okay.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. It's always nice to have some members of the public here. So we'll move on to agenda item number 4, which is Commissioner's Minute. Any commissioners have anything that they'd like to bring up?
So if they got 6 chickens now, would they be in violation? Even though it's tentative?
Yes.
Until the council approves it, yes.
All right, just hide them.
But Brock is also, would rather work for with people than find them, so as long as this has been moving forward, I've told Brock just kind of hold off, and if the council approves 6, then
You're good.
they just apply for it and go. If the council approves something less than, then they'll just have to have chicken dinner, one night and reduce the
That
numbers
was
down.
terrible, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, hold
Then
on,
Steve giggles.
Yeah, and I
hold
think,
on, I could just get my cat back up here.
I think for the public too, to remember that they can still, if they have babies, that they're okay for a certain
Yeah,
amount of
and
time, yeah.
Juveniles.
language for that didn't change, it's
Right.
still whatever age group
Just
that,
a clarification.
because
if
every
public
animal
are
has a different
watching.
age when they become adults, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, any other things from the commissioners? Steve, staff update?
Just let you know, the council did approve the urban corridor zone. They, when presented, they actually really liked it, had very little comments about it, so it went through quite quickly. The airport overlay zone, was also approved. That one had a little bit more stuff that needed to go in, but it's pretty much as written. So we're in compliance there. Now the next ones are the water element and the general plan, which we're currently working on, and the compatible use with Hillfield. That's coming up too.
Sounds exciting.
I'm excited for it. So, other than that, unless you guys have questions, that's all I've got.
Okay. Motion is in
Motion
order
to
for the last item.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I motion
Second.
to adjourn.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
We are adjourned regardless of your nay vote.
Some people.
Follow up. I went into private practice after I was in the
I say,
DA's
someone's
office
mic
for
over there, kinda
20-something
quiet.
years. I went into private practice. And I am a certified gaming lawyer, which doesn't